first of all, let me just start by apologising to anybody that might feel remotely uncomfortable by this video. It's not my intention, but I sort of feel forced to do the video, basically. I understand there'll be a number of people that enjoy watching Hammers Chat, and there'll be a number of people that enjoy watching West Ham Fan TV, and it is not my intention to cause further conflict. I know sometimes if you like two things or you like two people, it's awkward to see them arguing. It makes you feel uncomfortable, and I understand that. So I just want to apologise now. But I feel forced to do this video. After Saturday, I would have left it. I actually spoke to Gio as well, and I thought Gio conducted himself really, really well for his explanations to why he wasn't at the protest. And so I thought I'm not gonna reply. But it just keeps coming. The criticism just keeps coming. So I feel sort of compelled, I guess, to explain myself. And should I have to? No, not really. But I'm going to do that anyway. What I want to start by saying is, though, just to let you know that there's no animosity. Firstly, I completely support the protest. I love Hammers United. I love Paul Colburn. I spoke to him this morning. I spoke to Paul on Thursday and Friday when I knew I was going to do Football Focus. Paul knew that I was going to ask the production team of Football Focus to mention the protest on BBC at lunchtime, right? Which, to be fair, to their credit, they did. They only wanted to ask me about relegation. They only wanted to ask me about Potter. I said, please, will you mention the protest? We did that. Tross, who is at Hammers United, I love the guy. I would stand shoulder to shoulder with him and protest alongside him any time at all. I've done all the protests up to now, and I will stand alongside Tross in the future, absolutely 100%. And by the way, I've got something planned with Paul Colburn and Hammers United for next month, right? They've been on the channel numerous times. I am 100% Sullivan and Brady out and everything that goes with it. So let me get that right. But I do believe in choice. I do believe that it's not compulsory to attend these protests. And I'm going to be arguing that point as well, because I think it's got a little bit out of hand, this stuff. I also want to make the point I don't have anything against West Ham Fan TV. I thought Dan Lawless was magnificent yesterday. Absolutely. I've told him this privately, I've told him it publicly, and I'm telling you now, so as you know, he was magnificent on TalkSport. I would imagine I've never done it, I would imagine the hardest duo to debate with on TalkSport would be Jim White and Simon Jordan. Simon Jordan, because he speaks quickly, thinks quickly, he's articulate, I think he comes back with good arguments. And Jim White, well, he just interrupts constantly. And I think it feels, to me anyway, that he doesn't really like West Ham fans. Maybe that's me being oversensitive with that. With that in mind, I think they're a difficult duo to go on. And I think if I'd have gone on there, I think I'd have been quite nervous about doing so. I thought Dan did a magnificent job. I honestly watched it. I thought he was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I thought he actually brought them round to his way of thinking by the end of it. And I think for the West Ham fans that want new ownership at the club, I thought he did a magnificent job. I really, really do. I thought he represented everybody really, really well. So let me just say that. I also want to say that Scott of West Ham Fan TV is one of the nicest people I have ever met. I'm not talking about West Ham, I'm not talking about football. I mean one of the nicest people I have ever met. He is a genuinely lovely, lovely guy. So that's really what I want to say about that. Just so as you know, I don't particularly have any axe to grind there. However, I've come under a lot of scrutiny, and it started off with Nick from Crossed Hammers, who did a fan cam, and then it sort of carried on with Nicky Hawkins from West Ham Fan TV. Now, I think firstly I'm disappointed with this. Both of them can contact me privately. I've met Nick. I've met both of them numerous occasions. I've watched football with Nick. I've got funny enough, I've got a badge. I've got a West Ham badge, which Nick gave to my son. I've always got on very well with him. So I think the first thing was to hear that someone you know who could have just contacted you privately has said something about you online rather than calling up and just saying, oh, mate, I hear you're at the ground. Are you not coming down to the protest? Something like that. I dislike it. I don't like the way that happens. And then it's happened on another two occasions. And certainly Nicky would be within that as well. I've spent time with Nicky. I would not call Nicky my friend, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But whenever I've met him face to face, he's been very, very pleasant to me. I have had numerous exchanges with him. He's got, in fact, I even checked on WhatsApp just before doing this video. He's got my number. We've had numerous text exchanges and whatnot. Again, he could have phoned me up. I'm not a great one. I always find it a little bit. I don't like it. I don't like it when people that you know who have your phone number decide not to contact you directly, but decide to call you out publicly. I don't like it. I think it's very new, and I know it's the done thing. It's not. I just don't like it. I don't like it. I would rather, if you know someone, I would rather contact them directly rather than doing the whole public shame thing. But anyway, there we are, and this is what I'm going to have to deal with. I also don't particularly like this whole thing about. I just want to sit here and I just want to do videos about West Ham. Primarily, I'd like to do them about the players, about West Ham playing, manager, transfers, and then when it comes to it, and particularly, well, look at yesterday's video. Look at the day before yesterday's video. If I think the owners are going to need both barrels, then they get it as well. And I've always done that. I'm not some Johnny come lately who's just now digging the owners out. I've been doing it for years and years and years. I've had people say to me, "Oh, you're pro board." Where? No one can go back to me the evidence. I'm not. I think they're doing a horrendous job, and I'm not going to repeat everything I've said because I've said it so many times in the past. I like to think I have nailed my colours firmly to the mast that I don't think that this mob are fit to run our football club anymore. I've said so publicly. I've said so privately. Yet still, I get hit with this insinuation, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So. Let me tell you just what happened on Saturday. I got asked on Thursday night to go and do Radio 5 Live, which I have done on numerous occasions. I told Paul Colburn I was going to do it. Then they switched it at the last minute because there's a bit of a production crossover, and they said, "Would you mind going to the ground?" Which I had not. I'm not going to pretend I was going to that protest. I wasn't. I am a single parent. I was looking after my kids, okay? And by the way, at that point, I didn't have a dog sitter either, right? At the point, they said, would you... apologies, talk about rudely interrupt there. I've got my phone. My phone is muted, by the way, but it's set up so as, certain people can get through. So that was my son, ironically enough, bearing in mind what I was discussing. That was my son at college telling me he didn't make himself a big enough packed lunch, so asking for money. So there you go. Anyway, as if any further proof were needed, I'm a single parent, and I wasn't going to go anyway. It's I had the kids. It was just impossible to go, right? But when I got asked to do Football Focus, I thought, oh, do you know what? I'd actually really like to go and do that. I thought that would be a really good thing to do. And I spoke to Hammers Chat's sponsor, which is ETC Sports, who have tickets. And basically, ETC Sports said, look, go on our tickets, take the kids. So I took my girlfriend and I took my kids and to go to the game. Now, the thing was, I was meant to be doing the Football Focus thing really early. So I had to be in the ground by 10:50. So I had to go in there and had to do all that without my kids, okay? So I went in, and when I spoke to the production team, all the production team on Football Focus wanted me to talk about, and if you go and watch the sequence, you'll see this as well. All they wanted to talk about was relegation. Why you think West Ham will not get relegated. And I said to them, look, let me be perfectly honest here. I'm happy to do this, but it's going to look a bit weird if I stand next to the football pitch and talk about why West Ham won't get relegated when I think that they will, and if you're not going to talk about the protest outside. So I would like you, if you can, to mention the protest outside, which I said to BBC, and I'd already said this to Paul Colburn as well. He knew this as well, and to their credit, they did it. So I did my sequence, I filmed my bit, and to be honest with you, I'm not going to pretend otherwise. It is an absolute dream come true to be able to go and do something like that and go and have a little cheeky sit in the dugout and do all that stuff and be in the stadium and that. And look, doesn't mean I love the stadium or anything like that. Here I am having to explain myself again, but it was a good thing. It was a good thing for me to do. After I finished doing that, I then went and had to go and get my kids and my girlfriend, and I finished doing that. By the time I'd finished doing it, I think it was about 12:30. So that protest would have been in full swing. But I had to go and collect my children. So when Nicky Hawkins turns around and says, I hear he just walked past the protest. Well, I didn't actually walk past the protest. I was right by the stadium. I was in the gangway. So I had to then go and collect my children and then go and bring them back into the game. Now, I don't want to go too much into it, but anyone who knows my circumstances, and a lot of people do, and particularly with relation to one of my children, and by the way, our Hammers Chat patrons know all this as well, I'd have been absolutely mad to go and get those kids and then take them down to that protest then. I don't want to go into any detail. I don't want to do it. To be fair to Gio, went into a lot of detail on Sunday. Fair play to him, right? I don't particularly want to. And I don't feel that I have to. But I'll tell you this much now. I would have been a bad father if I'd have done that. I really would have done. One of my kids has not been out for a long, long time, and that was a chance for them to go to the game, and that's what I did it. And do you know what? Do I love West Ham? Yes. Do I want the owners gone? Yes. But I'll tell you now, my love for my children is greater. I continually back to the protests on this channel because, and by the way, and the statement of no confidence, completely back all of it. But on that day, I went to get my children. What I absolutely cannot stand is getting criticism for that. And by the way, I hope it doesn't come back that actually I didn't know, because actually after the first video, it could be possibly said that nobody knew. Now, it's relatively common knowledge because we discussed it on video. So that's that. So I went to the game. Doesn't mean I support the regime. I've heard some people saying that David Sullivan got me tickets. Have you seen the videos I've done about David Sullivan? Honestly, the thing is preposterous. Absolutely preposterous. It's honestly, it's absolutely crazy. And now there's just lies being spread about me. So this is why I'm being forced to do this. I find it quite unpleasant, to be honest with you. I don't like... I've done a couple of videos on the petition, and I just want to say this now. I didn't like the petition at the start because there were two phrases that accompanied with it. If you don't sign a petition, you're part of the problem. And if you don't, you're not a real West Ham fan. I didn't like it. I discounted it. I didn't like that. In the end, I did sign the petition, just in case. I didn't really have any massive belief that would help. But I do believe that the letter of no confidence has got the owners concerned. And I do believe that they were panicked because of the protests. I do believe the ownership are on the run. And I also believe that the pressure needs to be kept up. And I do believe in trying to be united. But let me tell you, what's happening is not that. But what I believe more than any of that is free choice. Because I was getting criticised for not attending this protest. I didn't realise it was compulsory. And I've got to say, Hammers United have got nothing to do with that. If you ask Hammers United, they will say, you do what you want. You know, honestly, if you feel you should attend, do what you want. You must do what's important. And I've always been a great believer in that. You might believe that the way to... Listen, first of all, there might be some people who don't want to get rid of the ownership, right? That's your decision. But even those of you that do, you might think actually the way to get them out, well, you might not think they're going to leave. If you do think they're going to leave, maybe you think maybe your way of protesting is not to buy the merchandise. Maybe your way of protesting is, whatever, not to attend the game, give up your season ticket. And anyone can do what they want. This whole pressure that you must attend is crazy. Now, what I want to say is I'm not going to dig Scott out here. I'm going to praise Scott, because as I understand it, Scott has said, because there's a boycott for the Brentford game. I believe Scott, West Ham Fan TV, is going to attend that Brentford game because he's bought the tickets, and I think, if I've got this right, and apologies if I don't, he wants to take his kids. Well, he's more than welcome to that, because this pressure of you must attend and you must attend, this is classic stuff. Honestly, textbooks have been written about this stuff. They really have. It's the whole thing. Well, you can go to the polls and vote, but you better vote this way. I discount it. I refute it, and I totally do. But I just, and that's why I'm coming back, and I'm just telling you that's what happened last Saturday. I absolutely support the cause. But if you don't, that's fine as well. If you can't make it down, that's fine. If you don't want to protest, that's absolutely fine. Because I find the opposite complete and utter bullying. And I must be honest with you, if this stuff had caught me 2 months ago, I wouldn't have reacted well because I wasn't in a particularly good place back then. But I'm not having this. I am not having myself be cast as somebody that somehow doesn't support the protest. I absolutely do support the protest. I fully support Hammers United. I fully support Paul Colburn. I fully support Tross. I fully support wanting to get those owners out of the club. But I reserve the right to do what I want and to look after my family and to attend a game and to be criticised for walking past a march, which never happened. Never happened did I walk past a march, all right? But to be criticised for not attending when I was going to collect my family, I think it's just bad form. I think it's really, really bad. I've got to be honest with you. It's not the first time. It's not the first time it's happened, and I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will happen again. I do not like the whole YouTube thing, and I'll go back to the start of the video. I do not like this whole one YouTube channel calling out another YouTube channel or whatever the case may be. I just think that's one step away from a diss track, and I think it's quite unsavoury. I think it's crass. I don't like it, particularly when you can just pick up the phone to that person. And maybe I should be doing that now. But you know what? It's just gone on. It's gone on for too long, and it's now a case of there's been so much stuff thrown at me that I feel the need to come out and just realistically. This is an explanation to you guys who might have listened to some of this stuff and thought, well, hold on, what the hell is going on? I'm telling you now, the next time it is available for me to do so, and I do not have my kids, because by the way, what's happened is not more likely, is not going to incline me more to bring my children to that. It makes me less likely to go. But I tell you now, next time I do not have my kids and I'm going to come on my own, I'm going to stand shoulder to shoulder with Tross. I'm going to stand shoulder to shoulder with Paul Colburn, and I will continue on this channel to put everything I've got behind the protest because I 100% support them. But I'm not going to be doing it because I'm bullied or railroaded into doing it, or because someone on a YouTube channel, and particularly another West Ham one where people are meant to be united, is calling me out day after day. I'm just not particularly happy about that at all. So there you go. That's what I wanted to say about it. I'm sorry for doing this stuff. I know, and the reason I'm sorry is I know you guys watching this, you just want West Ham videos. And all I want to do is West Ham videos. I don't want to be doing a video about somebody else that's done a video about West Ham. I think it's crazy. Honestly, I really, really do. I don't want to do any of this stuff. I really don't. I just want to talk about West Ham. And if on that day it's about a striker that scored, great. If on that day we've lost, it's about us losing, great. If it's about a manager coming in or going out or picking the wrong tactics, that's really what I want to talk about. And if we're going to have, like we did yesterday, David Sullivan's girlfriend having a hissy fit online, of course I'm going to talk about that as well. But I don't really want to be doing this, and this will be my final word on it. And so whatever comes back, I won't be firing back, and because I think I've probably done enough here to let you guys know. And anyone that anyone with half a brain is going to understand exactly what I've said here. Basically, I just don't like it. I don't think it's very nice at all, and I don't think it's good for people. I think it's crass, and I actually think it's unkind. I'd say that what's come back from Nicky in the last 2 days is unkind, and I do not appreciate it. So there you go. Could have been so easily sorted. As I say, with a little phone call. I've heard you down, mate. You coming down? No, Nicky, I'm not. I'm going to collect my kids. All right, mate. What is everything all right? Yeah, everything's all right. I'll see you at the next one. Could have been done like that. I don't know why this public shaming thing has to happen. I'm sorry that I've had to do it. I'm gonna finish up now. I've sent my son some money for his lunch, by the way, and I will be back. Probably I'm going to leave it for today because it's just. Honestly, it sucks the enthusiasm out of me, this stuff. It really, really does. So I'll be back tomorrow talking about West Ham, Nuno, or Bilic, or Potter, or whatever the case may be. And I will certainly be looking forward to at some point over the next little while when the next stage of what Hammers United are planning, whenever that's done, I'll be very happy to invite my friend Tross onto this channel and stand alongside Tross and Paul Colburn and all the wonderful things that they do. And I really want to just finish by stressing this. Hammers United certainly don't want to force anyone into anything. They have done their utmost to make sure that these are peaceful protests, that everything's reasonable. I loved the message that went out the other day, by the way, which was when the team coach comes through, we're gonna support the team, we're gonna clap the team when the team coach pulls it. I've seen the clips. I think I might have seen a clip where somebody accidentally clapped through the Crystal Palace coach, which I thought was quite funny. But anyway, I think all that stuff's good. The club want this to fail. The club want it to kick off. That's what they want. They want the fans to be detached from one another. That's what they want. They want it to kick off outside so the club can say, look at this lot. They're hooligans. This is rabble. That's what they want. So I'll tell you now, this stuff, this divisive stuff, does not help. It only makes it worse.